Hi, welcome to Fiber Focus, the podcast brought to you by Sumitomo Electric Lightwave, in which we explore the world of fiber optics and all things connectivity. I'm your host, Meredith Neely, joined today by Teylor Bremekamp. He is a network design engineer focused on fiber optics here with us at SEL. And today we are going to go beyond talking about network evolution and the next gen products and solutions that are making them possible. We're going to talk about the next gen people that are making the networks possible. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Can you start off talking to us a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and,
Sure.
and how you came to be with us here today?
Sure. Again, my name's Teylor Bremekamp. My background actually from university was aerospace engineering, so something totally different than network infrastructure. And I think like many others, this interesting topic sort of stumbled into this industry for my first job right out of university, which was kind of like an engineering consulting firm, which, knew nothing about network infrastructure, nothing about fiber or data centers or anything like that, and sort of learned everything on the job. About 10 years now into my career, both on design engineering and a little bit in big tech, and now I'm on the manufacturing side here at Sumitomo.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I have yet to meet a person who said that they grew up looking out the car window at network infrastructure, the closures and the drop cables,
Yeah.
the NIDs on the side of buildings, and thought, I can't wait to get into that. So you kind of stumbled into it. And what has your experience been so far? I would imagine in 10 years, you've already seen an evolution.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. I think even 10 years ago, it was somewhat niche and no one really even knew these jobs existed or this industry. And it was kind of smaller compared to today, where you have AI all over the news and leaders of countries talking about data centers and AI infrastructure. It's kind of gone mainstream, and the growth of the industry is much industry as a whole is much bigger today than it was 10 years ago.
So would you say it's still a niche industry, or?
I'd say it's still pretty niche. The specific job functions are very specialized, but the industry as a whole is super broad. There's many different types of network and telecom infrastructure jobs across the industry. So it's pretty broad in that aspect.
What would you say are some of the things that are keeping, with infrastructure more front of mind, with, AI becoming such a big part of the conversation and with people's reliance on their own devices? Why do you think that there aren't more people kind of intentionally looking for jobs in telecom?
I think it's about many people don't know they exist. I mean, when I was in university, and this is my experience, it may have changed by now, the traditional sort of engineering tracks at most university are mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, structural, industrial, a little bit of material science in there, but none of them really cover or talk about jobs in network infrastructure or fiber or any of that. So, as a 19 or 20-year-old, I don't think most of them even know these type of jobs exist.
So you came into it, you were on the path to being an engineer. You are an engineer. You were going to work as an engineer. What are some of the other ways in for the next generation?
Yeah, there's engineering paths for sure, but that's not the only way. And like I said, the industry is super broad. So there's many different career tracks and many different job types. You don't need a college degree necessarily to get into this industry whatsoever. There's sort of the main areas, or the manufacturing side, like Sumitomo or Cisco, or folks that make hardware or fiber or whatever. There's the installation side, integrators who are actually installing the fiber, conduit racks and servers. Then there's obviously the owner side or hyperscale side, so big tech, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon. But there's many different job types within all of those sectors that some require education, some don't. Some prefer hands-on experience, some don't. So I'd say there's a ton of options out there.
I'd like to dive into both of those, like the hands-on path in and the educational path in.
Mm-hmm.
Are there particular educational paths that you see being, the best fit to?
Yeah, depending on where you are or trying to go in the industry. And like I said, it's so broad. So I think it's important to find out what you like doing and what interests you in that aspect. But some of the overlap in education, I think the best fits probably are computer science. It's closest to network engineering. There's probably not a lot about fiber in there. And if you go on the manufacturing side, like at Sumitomo, I'm sure there's a lot of overlap with material science, maybe some industrial engineering, like how does the glass get made? How do cables get made? Process improvement in factory equipment and stuff like that. So there's some overlap in that aspect, but I don't think any of them are really perfect fit with, a lot of the jobs out there.
What about the hands-on happen?
Sure. Yeah. I think from an entry level, even right out of high school, there's a ton of, depending what city you're in, installers, integrators for low voltage networks, fiber networks. And that's a good avenue to get into and sort of learn about the industry. I've seen I know a ton of people that basically started installers, integrators, and catapult their careers into other verticals, big tech, or even at Sumi. Yeah, so that's a good avenue as well.
The timeliness of this conversation, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the need for good people, for trained people to come in and get the experience that they need to get the networks ready for what's coming.
Yeah, I was just reading about this morning because I was curious on the numbers, but even in 2020, I think total big tech capex for network infrastructure data center expansion was 100 billion. Today it's over 400 just in 4 years. It's a 4x in 4 years. I think 2029 it's supposed to be over $1 trillion. So that just gives you a rough outline of how fast the industry is growing. And with that, the number of jobs are growing. So I think the demand for these jobs is ever increasing. And I don't think the number of people that are in this industry aren't increasing proportionate to the growth there. So I think that's one reason why this topic is probably pretty important nowadays to get young people or even mid-career folks who want to switch come into this industry.
We've talked about how there is a lot of attention on infrastructure right now, and AI is in the news all the time, and that has people thinking about networks in ways they haven't before, because so often it seems like people only think about the networks when they're not working, right?
Yeah.
when there's the churning, the circle of doom, or yeah. So with the attention on the need for reliable, high-speed service wherever you go, like there is still like a huge gap in accessibility, right? Like we don't have fiber to everything that we need fiber to yet. The data centers are, like from enterprise to the data center, there's a need for higher fiber counts and more capacity. And even with all of the technological advancements, the need for people in the roles, like from the people who are designing the networks, the people who are manufacturing the products, the people who are installers, like that, no technological advancements will ever take place if the people needed in the industry.
Yeah, that's a big worry right now with a lot of industries, right? It's like, am I going to have a job in 10 years? Because is AI going to replace my job? Certainly on the installer side, integrator side, that's not going anywhere. I think by and large, most of the jobs in this industry probably can't be done by AI. Maybe that's me being biased, having worked in this industry, but a lot of it's maybe some of the repeating technical tasks will be not replaced, but maybe the AI tools will help folks do it better. But I think a lot of the hardcore engineering and physics and manufacturing components of this and installing and designing probably can't be replaced by AI. It's kind of funny. We now are, the industry is largely focused on building out AI infrastructure. It'd be kind of ironic if the AI infrastructure we're building takes over designing and manufacturing and building itself. It's kind of an interesting thought experiment there.
Well, it seems like a good time to leap into the industry. So there's the hands-on installer path in, there's the educational path in. Are there anything that people can be doing at home maybe to just as baby steps just to enter the industry?
Sure. It's 2025. You can pretty much learn anything you want on YouTube nowadays, which is pretty awesome, or your favorite AI engine. So I think because it's so broad, if you find something you're interested in, there is also a ton of professional certifications and a wide range of areas you can get. If it's like my area, network infrastructure design, there's an organization called Bixby, and they offer a wide range of certifications, some of which you need experience, some of which you don't. If you're more focused on network side or maybe wireless side on some of these carriers, there's a wide range of professional certifications you can get. And I think continued education or self-education on YouTube or getting one of these certs is never a bad thing, and it will help you get your foot in the door, certainly at any company.
Is there anything that you would have done differently so far in your young career? Anything that you would say to your younger self who was thinking about getting into telecom?
Having known about it earlier might have helped, but hindsight's 2020. I think something a lot of people don't actually talk about is, there's the technical engineering aspect of this whole industry, but the other half, probably for any industry, is the communications aspect. So training that skill set, I think, is equally or even more important now with AI. I would probably push my younger self to lead meetings, or go into meetings so you can practice those communication skills and presenting ideas and complex topics sooner. Everyone has sort of like a fear of public speaking, but it's a very important skill, I think, in today's day and age to have as much communication skills as possible, even to supplement more so than your technical.
Because you never know if you're going to be asked to be on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Teylor, it's been so great having you here today. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap?
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, if we think of anything else, we'll have you back, and it'll be a pleasure to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Fiber Focus. Please follow us on social media, subscribe to this podcast, either on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we will see you next time.